Hello and welcome to Group 13's video number 2 update. Today is October 2nd, 2010. So the first question is, what have we accomplished since our last video? And we have continued to work on our research part. We have turned in a concept fan, and we have also been able to test and build a piece of equipment that we might actually, on a larger scale, we build something that we might, on a smaller scale, put into effect with our future final design. So a lot of the research has been compiled by two other team members, and they have been working very hard on it. I guess our biggest accomplishment since the last video has been that we were able to build a pressurized air cannon. One of our team members in particular spent most of his last weekend building a mechanism, and here we have two pressurized chambers. The first one will close off the chamber like so. We would pump air into this part of the chamber, and we would load this side with the ping pong ball, and when the air pressure is good enough, release the valve. So the way we figured that this would work with our future design is that on a smaller scale we can have something where we have air pressure, control it electronically, and then have a release valve that we control electronically, and after we would attach it, of course, to some servos or motors to get the proper height and angle, we could release it and fire it. The ideas that have been generated is we came up with 5 ideas for our project, 5 possible ideas that we have put into our concept fan, which we have passed along to the instructor. Our first idea was an air cannon with 3 degrees of freedom, servo position control, and a PVC tube hopper. This idea would basically use air pressure to propel the ball at a desired angle and to shoot them into the proper cups. The servo motors would be controlled by height, pitch, rotation of the barrel, and the PVC tube would help to reload the barrel at every shot. The reloading would be done by opening an airtight seal, and the hopper would have a sensor that indicates that there is no ball currently in the barrel during a firing sequence. The second idea we had was a flywheel design with 2 degrees of freedom, servo position control, a maze array, and this idea would use 2 motors to control the 2 wheels positioned about, we said, 40 millimeters apart, and would spin at a desired speed. The speed would be controllable via PWM to the motors. Only pitch and rotation would be utilized to position the flywheel. Also, a maze hopper would hold the ping pong balls, and when a signal is sent out that the flywheel is ready for firing, a door would open the maze tray to drop a ping pong ball, and it would be shot forth. The third idea was a flywheel with 3 degrees of freedom, servo position control again, and a maze array, much like the last one, except it has height control. The fourth one, we thought about a hollow arm with 2 degrees of freedom and servo position control. This design we found to be the most simple, and it consists of a hollow arm loaded with ping pong balls, not very complicated. A motor would be used to spin the arm at a desired speed, and then a pin would open long enough to release one of the balls at a desired position. Servos would be used to control the height and the rotation of the arm, and a release time would change the angle when the ping pong ball is set. Our last option, we thought about a oxyhydro cannon. It was kind of complicated. We thought it would have 3 degrees of freedom, servo position control, and a PVC hopper. And the way this design would work would be that it would use an electrolytic process to create a combustible gas that would be lit by a spark and spark generation circuit. The gas would be generated into the chamber. Below where the ball is held, and two screws would be inserted to connect the spark generation circuit in order to provide combustion. The barrel would be positioned by height, pitch, and rotation servos, and again use a PVC hopper with an airtight seal to reload when the sensor indicated that no firing is being occurred at the current time and there's no ball loaded. So that was basically the 5 ideas that we had hammered out over the week, starting with probably last Saturday. We had been working on these ideas. We talked about it further on Monday, and then we came up with a few concepts, hammered them out in conjunction with the research we've been doing, and we had one of our members sketch out a few designs, which you can see in our concept fan. What ideas were generated? Well, I just went through those ideas, and I also had talked to a few members about possibly having a rotating tray, almost like a, if you've ever seen one of the more elite tennis ball machines, it has a serving tray, and then you can have a motor automatically rotate it to drop a ball in and then fire it out. The problem with that is that I'm afraid that it might be a little too on the heavy side, so that kind of idea got scrapped to the side. I guess our major challenge for next week is going to be figuring out the weight of the design. That air cannon, of course, there's no way we can attach something as big and heavy as this and as long. So coming up with the exact measurements of our pressurized air cannon, if that's what we go with, which we seem to be leaning to, is going to be probably the biggest challenge in understanding how to attach that to the motors properly so that we have degrees of freedom. I also think understanding the physics of controlling the air pressure and the physics of the air pressure working with the ping pong ball, all that needs to be taken into serious consideration. Excuse me, and we really need to start crunching out some numbers on that so we have an idea of the range of what those numbers will be. I also think that the assembly of our design is going to be a challenge that we're going to have to look into this week after we finalize the length and the sizes of things this weekend. That will be something that we will have to look into. I also think a challenge is going to be to negotiate on certain design flaws or design problems that will arise. I hope that we're not just so set on one particular design that we're going to continue to hammer through and make it work, instead of saying, okay, this needs to be adjusted a little bit, and this needs to be reduced, this needs to be thought of. And it's still, of course, we're very young on this project. It's only been a few weeks in, but I just hope that we as a group, we're not going to be short-sighted on the future, because the future goal is to have a working robot that accomplishes what we've set out to do. I think relative to the schedule, we are progressing well. I think we have been working fairly hard on it. We're going to also work on it this weekend and to do extended research on the firing mechanism. We're also going to start shopping around to see what we can buy, to see how we need to continue to budget, to finalize our budget, and also to get more ideas. So as a whole, I think we're doing well, and yeah, I definitely think that the project is going well. But we all continue or want to continue to keep pressing forward, and not just to be complacent in what we have done so far. How do I expect the system, and how do we expect the system to perform on the next milestone? I guess that depends on what the next milestone is. Things tend to change quickly around here. So I do think we'd be able to, and our system will be able to perform adequately, but again, I don't know exactly what the next milestone is. If they want a live demo by next Friday, well, yes, that may be a little bit difficult, but who knows? We're content to work as hard as we can to accomplish our goal. I think as a whole, we as a group, we're working very hard together. Our team leader knows really how to keep the pressure on us without being overbearing. It's been fairly well organized. We're continuing to send information to everyone, so everyone is on the same page, which I think is important since we have to trust each other to do their duty. And our leader definitely is a CEO in the making. He has the ability to keep us on task and on schedule regardless of where he is, whether he's out yachting in the Bahamas or whether he's out camping in the terrain of Tennessee or whether he's being the master of ceremony at weddings on the weekend. He is able to still stay in contact and able to keep us on schedule. So, yep, that's about it for week 2. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week with a wrap-up of what we have done since then. Until then, thank you very much.